to Living with Moxie, where Shefali Burns and Donna Martouche, authors, entrepreneurs, and leaders in the world of business, education, and coaching, share ideas, resources, and strategies from the hosts and their guests to provide you with the leverage you require to meet and exceed your business and personal goals. Join us for unique insights from outstanding achievers in business, relationships, health, finances, and living as they share strategies, wisdom, and lessons learned on the path to extraordinary living. Are you ready to live with Moxie?
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is Donna Martouche here. I'm so happy to be with you. And Shefali is going to try and join us. I don't think she's going to be able to, though. Today is day one on her move to Vienna, which has been an incredible journey for her. So just getting internet hooked up, and we're not sure she'll be able to connect with us, but I'm sure she's going to listen in, and we'll see what happens. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And we are here today to talk about balance. That was the topic for today, and I'm really excited to talk about it. It's one of the things that I personally have worked really hard and not always very successfully at having in my own life. Just being the single mom and career woman who owns several businesses and trying to figure out how to do that and have friendships and relationships and enjoy time with family or any time that you might be able to have in your life, and time for yourself and the self-care time. I mean, it's just something that I think nowadays, especially when everyone's looking to make 48-hour days instead of 24-hour days, it becomes a little bit, it becomes one of those things where you actually notice, we all feel it. At one point we feel like, okay, we have this tremendous success in our business and it is thriving. And then all of a sudden, we feel kind of off balance. We feel like there's this tug where, we might miss our children or our partner, or we haven't traveled in a bit, or something where we feel like it's just another area begins to feel like it's lacking and there's a pull there. So what do we do in situations like that? And is there really a way to actually feel balance? And what are one of the key tools that can help you really shift and change that over time? So that's part of what we'll be talking about today. And who knows where it's going to go? You can ask questions, you can send us messages and emails, and you can participate in conversations on our Facebook page as well, Living with Moxie. And we'll be there to respond. So we'd love to interact with you that way. And I am so excited that we're actually going to soon be able to have people call in and participate and ask questions in that way too, so we can hear your amazing voices live and in person. So thank you again for being here. And so what do we do, and what is one of the keys about being in balance? I mean, is it possible for you to actually be the successful business person that truly has it all? And even if that is possible, is it possible to maintain it all of the time? One of the things that I think one of the things that I notice that comes up often in this type of conversation is an area where anyone, including myself, when we're talking about it, I notice a sense of judgment, a sense of being very aware of a place where you actually do not feel like you're enough. And what I would love to be able to create is an honesty with yourself so that you can make a demand of more for you and do so without actually putting yourself down and stepping out of caring for you in that process, because that is possible. And I think that the more that I'm able to do that in my own personal life, the more I notice that balance looks different, because I'm not beating myself up all the time. Every day, you're doing better than you did the day before, most likely, and you are out creating anything that you've ever created before. So one of the things that I think most people expect to hear when we're talking about balance is, what are the things that you can kind of take out or eliminate in your life? And we may actually touch on that. However, I think one of the things that I'd like to start with is, what can you add that would be a contribution and a kindness to you that would actually help you through the process of trying to discover where your balance is and what works for you. When I work with clients and we talk about taking things away, it often feels like struggle and loss and emptiness and frustration and punishment, where when you talk about adding something to your life, it feels like it feels like you're gifting to yourself. It feels like a kindness. It feels like a contribution. And you notice that your whole energy will shift when you're adding versus taking away. So what can you add to your life that would make the balance exist in a way that feels so very different for you? And I'm going to tell you that the kindness to you and the self-care to you is one thing that creates more balance than you can ever imagine. So what you add to your day is the one thing that you constantly say that you don't have time for. And that is giving yourself that time for you, that caring time, that demanding time for yourself. We talked about this on one of our shows. Shefali and I do quite a few different things together, and I don't know if it was on her Awaken to Happiness Now Telesummit or if it was on one of my events. I'm not really sure, but we were talking about my 30-day deliberate creation program, which is a coaching program where I work with people over the course of 30 days, and it's a really intense program. But one of the things that I have everybody do when they sign up for the program is make a commitment. They literally have to sign that they're going to commit to giving themselves this time each day. And there's a lot of reasons why. And at first, that more than the cost of the program becomes the resistance or the hesitancy in the people who are signing up. After, though, they actually realize that once they've added themselves into their day and they do that self-care and the kindness to themselves, their day has a lot more ease and they're getting more done. And they actually feel more present in everything that they're doing. So I think what I've started to look at is the idea that obviously balance is also part of our perception of everything that we're doing, everything that we expect ourselves to do, and everything that we give ourselves credit for, right? So if you're caring for yourself during the day and you're giving yourself credit for everything that you are doing, would you get the idea that the whole energy of what balance in your life is might feel, be, and look different? It would be completely different. So even if you're feeling the tug and pull from another area, it wouldn't have to come from this place of, oh God, I did it again, I couldn't make it, I didn't go to this event, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, and this whole entire focus on all of the areas where you're lacking. But it may really be able to come from this place of, wow, I got all of this done, and I would love to figure out how to add this to it. I'm getting there. And it's better than it was yesterday. It was a lot easier than it was yesterday. I had more energy. I was more positive. I was more focused. I was more task oriented, and I was able to get it all done. Then there's a whole different relationship with you that starts to occur over time, but also what you may notice is some of the things that you once thought might be really important in your day of tasks of things to do become a little bit less important because you realize either you don't need to do them, there's somebody else who can do them, or you might have given value to something that is not so important. So, for example, when my daughter was younger, I thought keeping my house absolutely perfect was the important thing to do. I needed everything to be away, and I was ridiculous in the way that I cleaned. It was not even funny. It was to an extreme for a long period of time. And one day when I gave myself permission to actually just let it be, because if after I put everything away in 10 minutes it was going to be like that again anyway, there was a lot more ease there. And then later gave myself permission to even hire someone to come and take care of those things for me because A, it gave me more time with my daughter and less time beating myself up. It helped me create an environment that I loved to be in without me actually having to do the work for it. And I got the value of the time that I was able to do so many other things with. So there was lots of things that started to shift when I gave myself permission to actually look at something different. Part of figuring balance out in your life is perception and meaning, the meaning that you give to everything. So when we do talk about balance, very often what I hear everybody say, including myself, is, well, I have time, I'm putting all of my time into work, and then I just noticed that I didn't have time for my husband or my wife or my partner or my whatever, or my children or my family, and I just wanted to get this project done or I just wanted to get this done. And the amazing thing about that is when you just want to get that one thing done, there's always another one thing that you want to get done right after that that will fill its space. So what becomes more important is almost looking at the areas of your life and prioritizing them, and then figuring out how that's going to fit into your time. And it will do it with a lot more ease if you're willing to change the way you look at things, because Wayne Dyer said when you change the way you look at things, or actually was that Wayne Dyer, or it could have been somebody else, I apologize if I'm misquoting, said when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? And it really does happen. In this particular case, what I would love for you to look at, or change the way you look at, is the way you look at yourself and all of the things that you have to do within a day. So in a moment, we're going to be getting ready to take a break. And while we're listening to those messages, I would love for you to grab a piece of paper, and you can, in that piece of paper, write out the categories or the areas in your life that you feel like you're dividing your time into. And that could be related to your health, your self-care, your work, your job, your relationships, your family, your travel, your fun, your relaxation. And some of you might be going, fun, relaxation, travel. I didn't even get to that yet. Your money, your finances, managing your businesses, or whatever that looks like. And just grab some paper and a pen and think about all of those things you have to look at. And then what I'd like you to do is really start thinking about it in a priority, and see if you can come up with a list in priority order. What do you think is the most important to you? And what do you think is the one that you're not, that's really pulling at you the most, where you're feeling guilty, you're beating yourself up, it's just not working for you, so that you can actually start to get an idea and we can shift it. So right after these messages, we'll be right back with you on OMTimes Radio, Living with Moxie. See you. Talk to you soon.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatesPR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
Hi, this is Tony Bennett, and I'm a volunteer for Lifebeat. The music industry fights AIDS. We all know that there are some new medications for people with AIDS, but there is still no cure. This is why I personally volunteer for Lifebeat. The AIDS crisis is not over, and people need help. Volunteer for your local AIDS organization. They need you.
So welcome back, everybody, and I hope you had the time to grab a piece of paper and start to think about all of the things that you really are looking to balance in your life. I mean, when I think about balance in my life, sometimes for me it's about nutrition or exercise or including me or having fun with my daughter, versus actually sometimes, if you notice, when you're feeling like you're not balanced, what you might do is actually the time that you do have, you use sort of stressed out and frustrated, and you're really not enjoying anything. You don't really want to do that. I always imagine someone just walking on a tightrope, like a tightrope walker in a circus. You're kind of trying to create that balance and always feel like you might, about to fall. That's incredibly stressful to think about trying to create that kind of balance. So now that you have your paper, I'm hoping, or if you're driving, you're sort of getting an idea of things that you can write down later. One of the things that when I ask you to write something down that you're really doing is you're starting to assess your life as it is now. Because as your life changes, what you need to balance is very different depending on the stage of life that you're in, right? You could be not married yet and just starting your career and just getting into a relationship and you're trying to balance, the work relationship, friends, fun kind of component of your life, or another stage where you're newly married and possibly even considering adding someone to your family. Like everyone is in so many different stages, and I've just started working with another client who's all their kids have gone to college and are out living on their own and they have jobs and they're this like empty nest thing that's going on of what do I do now with all of my time. And it's kind of funny because we giggled when we were talking about it, saying, okay, well, it wasn't too long ago that you were saying, wow, I don't have any time. And now you're going, what am I going to do with all of my time? Well, it's kind of interesting because you never really felt like you had that time to begin with. I wonder what we're going to do with it. So first, I want to think about all of the ideas that you had related to what is balance supposed to be like, because there's so much judgment in the word of having a balanced life. I mean, anyone who's looking at it is looking at it from this idea of an expectation of the way that we are supposed to have balance in our lives and what it is supposed to look like. And I'm here to tell you that the truth of the matter is, if you really go right to your heart center and you ask yourself what balance truly is, there is not this space where it says, the perfect person can do A, B, C, and D all in one day, and if you're not doing that, you're off balance. It doesn't quite work that way. It's not that simple, but we do that to ourselves all the time. It's like you've created, or we've created, these expectations that aren't even realistic expectations of ourselves and what we can accomplish in each day. And it's interesting to me because I've worked with a couple of college students as well as a couple of moms, and I have found it really incredible to know that, especially here in the United States, college students and moms are two people who are constantly having difficulty and struggling with the addiction to medications like Adderall, or something that gives them more pep Vyvanse, something that helps them focus, gives them energy, helps them study, helps them stay up, because they have this idea that they are supposed to be able to get everything, whatever that everything is, done. And this image of this super person who can do it all with absolute ease. And if everyone could sit and listen to what goes on in the sessions with the groups of people that I work with, not just here in the United States, but all around the world, the greatest gift you can give yourself is to know, I'm telling you, that there really isn't that happening with ease in people's lives. I mean, people might sometimes give you that perception that it's easy, that they're getting all of these things done, but it isn't. Sometimes there's things they've decided aren't so important, or sometimes they too are struggling with the same thing, they just hide it better. So before you judge yourself or decide, I guess the first piece of this is really looking at what you've decided you are expected to do in a day, and where does that expectation come from? That's what really feels like the energy of what's at the center of this balance that feels like struggle, because when you tap into who you really are, balance is not a struggle. Balance is about who you are and what you're choosing every single moment of every single day. And if you were able to do that naturally without your perceptions and your judgments, it would be ease-filled and joy-filled. But what happens is we've created this belief that there's so much that we're supposed to get done in a day, half of which is based on this false reality, because nobody's living that way. People are not living that way. And the sadder part is, as a result of that expectation, I've seen addiction has gone up in this country, in the United States, tremendously, particularly with women and with college students, all because very much connected to two things, depression and this belief that they are supposed to get everything done. And the depression very often is connected to the idea that they're failing at a lot of the things they're supposed to be doing. They're always running, they're always taking care of things, they're never having time to do the self-care, and they're still not even catching up, which is just a really bad feeling for somebody to have. So start with the idea of, where did I get this expectation of everything I'm supposed to get done in a day? What am I expecting myself to do? That probably should be page 1. What is it that you truly believe that you expect yourself to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and on a monthly basis? Because I think that one of the tasks that I'm going to ask you to do during our next break is to literally have them listed down, number them, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down, what you expect yourself to do on a daily basis, what you expect yourself to do on a monthly basis, or weekly basis, and then a monthly basis. And then on break, ask yourself, well, is this true? Is this true that this is what I should have to do? Is it true all of the time, some of the time, or not at all? And just make those little notes to yourself, because you might even catch yourself giggling as you're going through it, saying, where did I come up with this crazy idea that I am actually supposed to do that? Is that truly a part of what balance is? And know that at the end of this, we're going to tie that all into the idea of the beginning your day with you in your picture and how that winds up creating more balance. So we have that little task that we're going to do when we break in our next break. And I want you to look at yourselves as you really are in this first step, because it's the beginning of really restructuring your whole perception about what balance is all about. Do you feel physically exhausted? Are you feeling mentally exhausted? Are you finding yourself not having time to have those close, intimate relationships? And I just want to say to you, when we think about balance, the truth of the matter is, one of the greatest joys that we get physically and chemically in our bodies are those close, intimate relationships. Laughter, physical touch, connection, time with other people in a way that feels really good to ourselves is one of the things that boosts all of our chemical levels, that actually can keep us more feeling joy and happy and connected. So it is very important, if you're feeling in that stuck, beating yourself up stage or depressed stage, that you are making sure that you make that a priority. Would you call yourself a workaholic? Would you call yourself, any type of would you say that you're obsessed about, doing one thing specifically perfectly? And is that exercise? Is it work? Is it being the perfect mom or dad? Is it being the perfect partner? What is it? Where do you feel the lack of areas in your life? Because in order to create the balance, we do need to look at all of the areas and say, well, what are the areas that I'm really beating myself up for, that I'm saying that I'm missing, right? And when we refocus this, you might realize that you maybe aren't missing it. You're just not giving yourself credit for some of the areas in which you actually, some of the things that you are doing that are fulfilling some of the balance that you think you're missing. So the other piece is, would you be willing to make a conscious decision right now to look at your perception of what balance is and to become balanced? So we're going to say, okay, well, we're now listing all the things that we think we might be out of balance about. And we're looking to see, it's connected to an expectation of what we think we're supposed to be doing. Is that expectation realistic? And if it is realistic, well then, where on our priority list do we need to actually shift so that we can now make this balance out, right? I imagine this, because I'm somewhat of a visual person, almost like a plate that you would have on a table. You see those charts where your plate is supposed to be 2/3 vegetables and 1/3 protein, whatever, however you guys do your food, whatever that may be. But, I just imagine a visual chart there where it's like, okay, I have this much time for family, this much time for work, this much time for spiritual, this much time for me, or fun, or whatever that is. And, these 4 main areas or 6 main areas in a circle, and all different visual colors, and trying to look at it that way so that I can see where is it that I really need to shift. But first, getting the idea of which one of my expectations are actually realistic or not, because I know that a lot of my expectations about what somebody's supposed to be able to do in a day are completely unrealistic. So coming from someone who's done that to herself, I beg you to totally really take a look at it, because once I did take a look at it, a lot of things shifted for me as far as the way that I talk to me, what I give myself credit for, still not my strength as far as that goes, and what I'm willing to not beat myself up for anymore. And then it becomes, what do we do next? Making a decision on a minute-to-minute basis in our schedule. What do we really need to do in order to begin to change our balance once we've got this all laid out for ourselves? How do we do that? What goals can we set in each area of our life? I would probably suggest that we look at this in 6 areas at least, so that you have your relationships, your physical body, your spiritual alignment, your mental, development as far as that goes, your job, your career, as far as that, and your finances. And in there, there's pieces of you in spiritual. I personally think that you should have your own line there, so maybe I'm saying 7. So set goals in 7 areas of your life and break up a chart that way, so that we can start to take all this information that we're writing down and put it there so that we can see. And if you have some things that have just come to you about, oh my goodness, yes, I realize that I expect that I should be able to work a 12-hour day, come home, cook dinner, set the table, clean up after 3 children and a husband, and get the laundry done, and get everyone ready for tomorrow, and be able to do that and still have a smile on my face, and tuck all the kids in, and be able to spend some time and be intimate with my husband, and still have energy, and then go to sleep. I'd like you to rethink that, because that is not really a realistic picture of what's going to be happening on a daily basis in most people's lives. So as we're getting ready for our next break, again, take a look at your relationships, yourself, what's in your area, your physical being, spiritual alignment, your mental development, your career, your finances, and where what your expectation is it realistic, and where you believe that you need to create that balance. And we're going to put that in a priority order during our next break as you listen to those messages. And then we're going to come back and talk about let's do a reassessment of where we're at and what we really need to do in order to create some balance in our lives, so that we can start to see where we need to shift. Because for each of us, once we are honest with whether our expectations are true or not, we'll have different areas and a different amount that we have to shift in each of those areas. And I look really forward to seeing what everyone comes up with in these areas for balance. So you're going to do that during break, and I will be right back with you. This is Donna Martouche, Living with Moxie, OMTimes Radio. Be right back.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello! Join us, Lisa Berry and Michelle Carter, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mindset Makeover, What's Possible. Get ready to become present, clear, and unstuck, and start living fully, led by your heart. While you listen and feel this transformation through vibration of word, sound, and song, you'll open up to what's possible and experience your shift.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
So welcome back, everybody. I hope that you're doing some of the work. One of the things to really, truly creating anything, when you're really willing to live consciously and create a life that you really love, is actually sitting down and being honest with yourself and doing the work. And I know we brought that up in one of our shows when Shefali and I were talking, and I said the hardest task when working with anybody is just starting with being honest about where you really are, and also being honest with where you're being hard on yourself, or where you're being unrealistic about what to expect from yourself, not because you can't do something, but because what you're expecting of yourself is just way over the top of um, what would be required from anybody as far as that goes. And I'd like to just talk a little bit about about some of the perspectives from some very successful people, and you guys all know from listening to me now and through the years from any one of my radio shows or books or anything that you might have read or heard me talk about. I tend to really study people who are tremendously successful in multiple areas, because that's, in order for me to do what I do really well when I'm working with people, I want to learn from the best, so that I'm sharing and turning what they do into real usable skills for those who I work with. So I look at someone who, like Jim Rohn, who is incredibly successful, and things that he talks about in his books as far as what a good life contains, meaning a balanced, really good life. What is it that it looks like to him as far as success goes? And I guess many people would say it's easy for somebody to say who has a lot of money or who isn't struggling, but the truth of the matter is a lot of people who are doing well financially have this balance, internal balance, to some extent, as far as that goes, where they know what their priorities are, so at least they're focused on them. So ask yourself, like, would you be willing to ask yourself, what is a good life for you? It doesn't have to be what I decide is balance, and you should never take anything that I say as a truth, because what's true for me may not be true for you. So what I'd love for you to do is just use it to ask yourself some really effective questions that can help you feel more balanced, feel more connected, feel like you're being successful in your life and everything that you're choosing. And I keep going back to lists, but if you don't know what would be a good life for you, then deciding if your life is balanced or not is a really hard thing to do, because a good life, because being balanced, part of the perception of whether your life is balanced or not is based on, by definition, what you've decided a good life actually looks like, as far as that goes. So you go over your list, a list including the areas we talked about, and health and body, relationships, play, yourself, whatever that looks like for you. And one of the things that I would say is, I think that everyone feels good when they are productive. So that could be work productive, it could be home productive, it could be productive with friends where you're getting things done, or it doesn't make a difference what it is. However, the feeling that you've been able to produce something is an incredible strength and joy for everybody to be able to feel useful and accomplished at one thing or another. So what is it? So let's include that in our list, if you'd be willing to, of what it would really make a good life. Another one is, who is in your group of people that you're connected to, that you speak to most of the time, right? The people who you spend, you are, they say, the average of 5 people who you spend the most time with. Are they people that are a great support system? Are they people who are saying to you, hey, that's a really great job that you did. That was wonderful, that you pulled that off, or I know that you could do this, or that help you to reach higher, or are you the person who helps everyone else in the group reach higher? Is there a nice balance there as far as that goes? But who are you surrounding yourself with all of the time? And what is that like? Are they helping you reach for even more and feel really good about what it is that you're doing on a daily basis? The other thing that may surprise you, that seems to help people feel a lot more balanced and joyful in their life, is their connection to traditions, their connection to culture or language or music, or anything that keeps their family or their culture or themselves connected to a group. I remember growing up, my father worked for AT&T, and AT&T at that time had a culture of its own, a culture that when I was growing up he was very proud of. I mean, later it shifted and the company got, broken down into other companies and things changed, but there was a connection to even that as a culture. So there's so many different ways that groups can connect, but being connected and blending together and having those types of relationships is an energy that actually helps you feel more balanced and more joyful and more successful and productive in your life. One of the areas we've already talked about a little bit is spirituality. So spirituality means something different, and this is why perception and meaning is something that comes up when I talk often. It means something different to everybody. You can say spirituality to someone at church and at a specific religious type of church, and they may feel like it just has a very different meaning to them than to say, okay, well, I'm this religion or I study this particular religion. What does spirituality mean to you? It's helped actually form so many things as far as connecting in life, right? No matter how you do it. But be connected to whatever it is to you, whatever it is to you. And very often as we're getting busy in our lives and we're focusing on getting the job done and getting the house clean, we tend to leave that part out more than most other parts because we forget it. But it's almost like, I want to say it's the heart of everything that you're doing. It's, when you're connected to it while you're doing something, you notice the difference, right? So however you do that, because you're heart-centered or because, so I guess what I can say is, when I'm working with someone, I feel it in my heart. In my heart, I want to make a significant impact. So whatever job I do or whoever I'm working with or whatever class I'm teaching, it's really coming from my heart center. And when I do that, I'm always feeling joyful and fulfilled. As a matter of fact, when I do that and I choose from that space, my day goes by in like 5 minutes and I can't believe it. And the whole day is fun and joyful and feels balanced. I don't feel like I'm lacking from anything. So I almost feel like that's an energy that you stay connected to all of the time, and it becomes the foundation of everything that you do. And it seems to be one of the parts that we tend to disconnect from as we go through our days. Sometimes to connect to it, I just have to sit on my couch and pet my dog. But most of the time it's there, and I reach in and I reach deep for that. And it really makes a difference in feeling balanced and feeling joyful and feeling successful. And again, part of your balance is your perception. Then the other part is, what is it? Very often when people are talking to me about not feeling balanced, they're talking about the fact that they always feel like they're missing something. So you talk a little bit more about a vital life and what is it that you think you're missing. And this is important for you to be honest with yourself about. If there's things that you really think are important for you to be a part of, then maybe you need to write them down so that you make sure you're not missing anything that's important. So is that your kid's softball game? Is it a concert? Is it a Sunday at church? Is it a ticket to an event that you would love to go to with your whole entire family? But there's very often when I talk to people about feeling off balance, this is a key area that they list, which is, I'm always missing something. I missed the wedding. I missed the communion. I missed the birthday party. I missed that day when everyone went out to dinner just for fun. And I'm always missing it because I'm working or because I'm tired because I was working. So decide right now, what's really important to you to not miss out on. Add it to your list, and then that becomes part of your priority, where there's, you are allowed to have non-negotiables in your life, right? There's some non-negotiables. There's certain things that you aren't going to miss, and you're going to have to work other things around those things. But once you get those laid out, that becomes a lot easier, and you'll notice that you will not miss them. And when you get to them, you'll feel like they power you through some other events and some other things in your life. Another component, which is a bit different nowadays than it was when I was growing up, is sort of, I would normally say your family, but I want to say your inner circle, which I mentioned a little bit before. But your inner circle, I say, because family nowadays looks very different than it did when I was growing up. And sometimes, people even have friends that are very much like family that are even added to their family or in lieu of their family. But people that are your inner circle that you inspire each other and take care of each other and know each other well and are there for each other, and you can call each other. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're seeing them all the time, because you could be in separate countries. I have some of my closest friends aren't anywhere near me, but we can talk and energetically actually even know when we're there for each other. But when we do talk, it's like we've never missed a beat. So invest in that and invest in inspiring those people that are around you and allowing them to inspire you. So it's a giving and a receiving, so that you're actually not just always giving, but you're also allowing other people to give to you, and you're enjoying that and you're participating in that, because those are ways that you actually can be fed from people around you. And what is coming out as I'm saying all these things is not only is balance a perception, but there's an energy here. When you're connected and productive and you're participating and contributing, you actually feel more balanced regardless of how many minutes you're spending on each individual task, right? It no longer becomes I spent 8 hours at work, but only 2 hours at home. It is very much more every task that I did, I felt was from my heart. I was connected to, I was involved in, I was productive, I was a contribution. And when you are that energy in everything that you're choosing, it doesn't even matter anymore. You're not calculating the minutes anymore. You're enjoying the time. You're feeling more productive and more successful. And it doesn't feel like something's off balance anymore. It feels like you're a part of it all. You're connected to it all. It's a very different energy. So it doesn't become, I spent 2 hours here, 4 hours there, 2 minutes here, and it's not a checklist anymore. It's an energy that you choose to be in everything that you're actually doing at the time. So think about now, when you're going to work and you're working with people, while we're getting ready to go on this break, are you really doing it from your heart center? Is there something that you can do that actually allows you to be connected to the choices that you're making throughout the day, to the people that you're talking to throughout the day? It doesn't matter if you're loving what you do as far as your job goes. You could love who you're being while you're doing it. You could love the interactions of the people that you're with, or you can make them that way. So think about that during this break. Enjoy the messages, and I'll be back with you shortly. Donna Martouche, Living with Moxie. Be back with you in a minute.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness and action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Want to know some fun facts about colonoscopies? Colon cancer is 90% preventable. A colonoscopy can detect and prevent colon cancer in one fell swoop. But here's a not-so-fun fact. Lots of people are so uncomfortable even talking about a colonoscopy that they never get one. If you're 50 or 45 for African Americans, get screened now. Maybe even earlier if you have a family history. To schedule a screening today, visit StopColonCancerNow.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Donna Martinez here with Living with Moxie. So happy to be here with all of you. And I cannot believe it, because what did I say? When you're heart-centered, the time flies by, that this show is actually almost over, and Shefali will not be able to make it. In her first night in Vienna, she was not able to get the internet to work, and sends her love to everybody. And so we're going to just wrap this all up by talking about this in a bit of a different way than I normally do, because I usually talk about all the things that we can do, and now I'm going to talk about things that that if you would like to feel balanced, and things I'm going to suggest that you actually don't allow yourself to do. Sometimes we're shooting for this place of balance, or what we've decided balance feels like or is, because someone else is requiring something from us, whether that be a job or a partner or something that's really making us feel very bad about what it is we've been able or not been able to do. So what I'd like to say is, really think clear about where your idea that you're off balance is coming from. Is it yours? Is it internal or external? And where you're getting your satisfaction from? So when I say that, I mean, where are you getting your feedback from about balance? Is it an internal idea, or so someone who does it internally will say something to me, when I'm in a coaching situation, it's just, so how do you know you did a good job? And they're going to say to me, I can just feel it. I can just feel it inside. And somebody who does it from an external point of view said, well, how do you know you did a good job? They say, oh, well, my boss told me and my partner told me, and that it was the best thing they ever saw me do. So that, usually people are both. They do get external and internal feedback. Pay attention, though, to whether you're responding to this external feedback in a way that is pushing you to put yourself down in some way. Nowadays, it's not surprising if there's people who have unrealistic expectations. I was working with someone earlier today who had recently just left her position after 16 years, and she could not believe that she did it. Very happy that she made the choice. She's very happy that she made the choice, but it was a year of going back and forth, of feeling very much like, she's now doing 15-hour days, not having time at home, always on call, working this very stressful position, and really never getting the pay or the compensation or the respect. And there was just this expectation of certain things that had to get done that didn't match what the job was or what she was actually getting paid for. So finally sat down and made a really difficult decision for herself and said, I've been putting myself down for months because I'm not doing home or I'm not doing job the way they want me to. When finally she stepped back and she said, okay, well, here's what I realized. The way the job would like me to do this is not realistic for any human being. And I was trying to make myself match that mold. And you know what? Good luck with them trying to find that. And, she really did the right thing in the sense of having the constructive conversation and saying, I would love to do this. This is what I would be required to do. And this part would have to, gave some really great feedback. What they do with that, I don't know. But it was a very tough decision. It's a willingness to be honest with yourself. Not easy to do, especially when you're counting on an income or when you're involved in a relationship or a marriage like that. But be honest and be realistic. Are you beating yourself up because someone else told you that you're supposed to be doing something different, or because you're feeling like you're missing something? Either way, that's still a beginning part of a question about what is it that you're looking to do to create this balance. Where is the feedback coming from that you're not balanced, and is it a realistic feedback, right? And then the other piece is, don't do anything. I mean, as far as doing something that requires you to be someone that you're not. So in having this conversation with this person that I work with, this amazing, brilliant woman that I work with, she really was very convinced for quite some time that she just was working really hard, and that she just wasn't getting certain pieces done. After a while, looking back in hindsight, which is sometimes how we are able to see it, she was able to see that what was being required, which was brand new to the whole entire company because the company is growing so fast, was way more than what any person could do, even under the best of circumstances. So once she was able to step back and be really honest with herself, she realized that she was not, doing something that requires her to be or do something that she isn't and actually can't do. So the other thing is, when someone's trying to change you as far as balance goes, and what I see sometimes in relationships is this whole struggle with time and with balance and meeting other people's needs. So when you realize, I mean, you can't force someone into doing something or giving something that they don't want to do, nor would you want to, especially when you're coming from this love and this heart center. You would love to have your own freedom and allow them to have their own freedom as well. So if there's this push from the outside about, trying to change your priorities or shift your priorities, it's important to hear what your partner requires or needs, or the people in your life require or need, and then still step back and ask yourself, is that part of meeting someone's need? You love them, you want to give them everything that you can, and is this changing you in order to do it? So, there's some questions you have to ask yourself here, because you can't please everyone, right? And very often when you're feeling off balance, you're doing it from this place where you believe that you can and you should be able to please everyone in your life. But when you begin to live life purposefully, it's not really about pleasing everyone. When you're truly doing things with this heart center and you're connected and you have that energy, there's a joyful connection and everything is a contribution, and it's not about, you're not always going to be able to please everyone. You want to help meet the needs of the people that you love, for sure. But pleasing everyone is another story. So there's some questions, again, to ask yourself about what's the expectation here? Where are you getting the idea about what balance is and that you're not balanced in the first place? So here's another component is sometimes I notice when I'm working with somebody that when they feel off balance, what they're trying to do is really address the short-term comfort or discomfort over a long-term benefit. So what often happens is you may know that you want something and you really want this to happen now because you totally get that in the long run this will be great for your future. However, right now it's creating this short-term discomfort, and that's fine. If you're getting that you're making a short-term discomfort in order to have this vision of balance that you're going to have in the future, both personally and professionally, then what you want to be able to do is not beat yourself up and make it a painful discomfort. Make it a decision, so that you get that this is actually just a decision that's temporary that you're going to be doing right now. It's not this permanent, painful step that you're taking. It's a time-limited step about that you're doing. It's all part of your plan for your success as you're going through time. And then don't make it a flaw or a negative on your part. As a matter of fact, wouldn't it be wonderful if you can give yourself the gift of it being an incredible contribution and getting the investment that you're making in yours, your partner's, your family's future, as far as that goes, for the balance, your body, your life, your health, whatever it's connected to. The other thing is, it's natural for us to be drawn to things that seem to be perfect or incredible or excellent or extraordinary in some way or another. However, when we've decided that something is flawless, like I'll talk to I work with a lot of very successful women who happen to be single moms, and what they often will say is, but when I look at what, Donna does, she gets this done, she's got 3 businesses, she's got this, she's got that, and they have this list of what, her house seems perfect when I walk in, her character is stellar, her integrity is great, her companies are doing good, blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is, they're looking from an outside perspective and deciding that there's this perfection that truly does not exist. There's no one or no thing in the world that does exist without flaw, without struggle, without errors or mistakes or something along those lines. So everywhere where you've decided that something is flawless or ease-filled, or someone can do it so much better than you, or somebody's just doing something that you think you should be doing, really step back and take a look and hit that pause button and go, wait a second, let me think about this consciously here. Why would you be comparing yourself to someone else whose life is completely different, whose resources are completely different, whose energy, priorities, goals, and everything else is completely different. What they have to get done, even if they seem to have more on their plate, might be completely different than what you have to get done. Regardless, you can't tell based on outside perspectives, even if you think you have an inside perspective. I can tell you right now, there's people who you can sit down and sit close to, and they could be really struggling, and you don't know it. So don't compare yourself to somebody else. Take a real honest look at yourself and work with what's going to allow you to feel fulfilled, joyful, balanced, and successful. And if you can feel fulfilled, connected, feel productive, and feel like a contribution, you will feel balanced regardless of what the outcome is. So maybe it's about redefining what balance truly is. Balance, I think what I'm getting to at the end of this show is balance feels much more like judgment. Whereas if you're connected to the energy of productivity, contribution, love, joy, and fulfillment, it all does work out and feel balanced with so much more ease. So there's an energy there that is very, very different. So that's one way to completely shift the whole idea of being off balance or in balance, right? And the other thing is, remember that your inner life determines your outer success. Give yourself that time, the time every single day to make yourself the priority in your life, because when you feel fulfilled inside, everything will begin to feel joyful, productive, a contribution, and balanced. Have an incredible week, everybody. It was great to be here with you. I look forward to hearing all of your feedback and being with you again this time next week. Donna Martouche, Living with Moxie. Enjoy OMTimes Radio. Have a great time. Thank you.